Take a look at this. In the history of football, there has always been something almost magical about the number 10 Ronaldinho. Roberto Baggio.
It's a very impressive run by Baggio, and he's threatening to go all the way.
Zinedine Zidane.
Ojo a Zidane. Gol, gol, gol.
Michel Platini. Johan Cruyff. Even if he did not always wear the number 10, he was the pioneer of total football and Pelé. But when people truly talk about the number 10, only two names rise above everyone else: Diego Armando Maradona and Lionel Andres Messi. Two Argentines who took their country to the very top of the football world. Two phenomena who produced moments that felt impossible.
No existe la casualidad, muchacho. ¿Sabe qué? Esta copa se tenía que jugar en Argentina. Y Dios la trajo acá. Dios la trajo acá para que la levantemos en el Maracaná, muchachos. Para que sea más lindo para todos. Así que salgamos confiados y tranquilos que esta la vamos a llevar para casa.
Maradona did it with courage, fire, strength, and pure character. Messi does it with a natural talent that makes football look like art through his feet. The comparison has lasted forever. And how could it not? Same left foot, same low centre of gravity.
Xavi, més capradeta per Messi, 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 immens Messi, encara 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 Messi, gol, 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 gol.
Same aura of greatness Lionel Messi wanted to be like Diego.
Tu ídolo como jugador.
Maradona.
Cosas de Maradona tenés. Sos zurdo, buen dominio. ¿Lo mirás a Diego en algunas cosas? ¿Querés imitarlo?
No.
And Maradona himself admitted that this comparison was beautiful.
No, vos sabés que las comparaciones son odiosas, pero esta comparación no es odiosa.
No, es hermosa.
Es hermosa.
Es hermosa.
Es hermosa. Vos fíjate, los dos zurdos, los dos argentinos, los dos que brillamos, que sea uno mejor que otro. Un día se levanta bien Messi, otro día me levanté bien yo. Somos argentinos.
The world has always been divided.
¿Maradona o Messi?
Messi.
Maradona.
Messi.
Messi.
Messi. Maradona.
Messi.
Maradona.
Messi.
Y hermano Maradona.
But here is the part most people avoid. When you truly look at what each one built, their legacies are not the same at all. And once you understand that, this debate is over. For nostalgic fans, Maradona is untouchable. He carried an average Argentina side on his back to a World Cup title. He dragged Napoli to greatness when they had never won anything before. He came straight from the streets of Villa Fiorito and became a global icon through pure talent, passion, and blood given to football. And yes, it is completely understandable why many people believe El Diego is the greatest. But there is a reality that has to be said. Despite his leadership, his warrior mentality, his unstoppable character, and his impact on the pitch, it is extremely difficult to clearly point to areas where Diego Maradona was actually better than Lionel Messi. And I know that is very hard for many of you to accept. But when you truly analyse their careers in depth, when you remove nostalgia and emotion, the gap between them becomes much bigger than most people are willing to admit. To prove this, we have to truly understand who Diego and Messi were in depth. Diego Armando Maradona was born 65 years ago in Buenos Aires to change the history of football and to become the ultimate symbol of his people. His unconditional love story with the ball began in the early 1970s when Diego went for trials at Argentinos Juniors alongside his friend Goyo Carrizo. His first coach, Francis Cornejo, was immediately amazed by the ability of the young number 10. Around him, a legendary youth team was built, Los Cebollitas.
Mis sueños son dos. Mi primer sueño es jugar en el Mundial y el segundo es salir campeón de octava y los que siguen el campeonato.
That group began making noise in the Evita youth tournaments, and little by little, the famous Category 60 started to shine with its football and trophies, with Pelusa as the clear star. On October 20th, 1976, the moment arrived. Diego Armando Maradona made his professional debut against Talleres de Córdoba in the national tournament. The kid who used to juggle the ball during halftime and whom the Argentinos fans begged to see play, made his debut at just 15 years old, coming on for Ruben Jacobetti. Before sending him on, coach Juan Carlos Montes told him, "Go in and play calmly, and with the first ball you touch, nutmeg someone." Legend says that with his very first touch, Diego humiliated Juan Domingo Cabrera with a perfect nutmeg. November 9th, 1980 was another defining day. Argentinos juniors faced Boca Juniors, and before the match, Hugo Orlando Gatti publicly said Maradona was a good player but had a tendency to gain weight. He called him Gordito. Those words were deliberately passed on to Diego. Furious and motivated, he replied, "Oh yeah, I'll score 4." And he delivered. Argentinos won 5-3 in an unforgettable night at Vélez, with Maradona scoring a penalty, 2 free kicks, and another from open play. Boca fans applauded him as if he had scored for them. His incredible form with Argentinos and the fact that Argentina were hosting the World Cup created huge hope that Diego would play his first World Cup at home. But the shock arrived. Maradona was left out of the final squad, along with Bravo and Botanis. Instead of breaking him, it fueled him. Diego responded by destroying matches with Argentinos juniors. Unforgettable performances, outrageous goals, and pure magic from the number 10. He was only 17 years old, but even then it was clear he was different, unique. Cesar Luis Menotti chose experience over youth, and Maradona suffered one of the biggest disappointments of his career. He would have to wait one more year until the World Youth Championship in Japan to finally remove that thorn from his heart. The 1979 World Youth Championship in Japan gave Maradona his revenge. With Cesar Luis Menotti on the bench and a very strong squad that included Ramon Diaz, Argentina won their first ever Under-20 World Cup. Maradona scored 6 goals, was the standout player of the tournament, won the Golden Ball, and confirmed everything he had already been showing at Argentinos Juniors. The team won every single match, scoring 20 goals and conceding just 2, a clear statement of dominance. After returning from Japan, back at Argentinos Juniors, Maradona scored what he himself considers the most beautiful goal of his career, against Deportivo Pereira. In that goal, Diego showed everything that defined him: grit, fight, resilience, and the refusal to stop no matter how much he was kicked. It was a genuine masterpiece, but also a deeply symbolic goal, one that felt like a prelude to what the world would later witness in Mexico, 1986. With Argentinos Juniors, Diego Maradona never won a league title, but he became the central figure who carried the club to the best spell in its professional history, finishing runners-up in the 1980 national tournament.
Bueno, espero de que se hayan divertido, o sea, tanto la gente de Argentino como la de Boca. Pienso que Boca se brindó y al final, o sea, dio lucha a un argentino que fue superior casi siempre a lo largo del partido.
Individually, he established himself as a dominant force, finishing as top scorer in multiple competitions and scoring 116 goals in 166 matches before completing his move to Boca Juniors in 1981. On 22nd February 1981, Diego Armando Maradona officially made his debut wearing the Boca Juniors shirt. A long and dramatic transfer saga had finally ended, with doubts lasting until the very last moment about whether the move would actually happen. The debut took place at La Bombonera against Talleres, the same club Maradona had faced on his professional debut with Argentinos Juniors. Boca won 4-1, Maradona scored twice from the penalty spot, and from that night on, an unbreakable bond was formed between Diego and the Ceneice crowd, a love that would last until his final day. 10 April 1981 became an unforgettable date in Maradona's career. Boca faced River Plate at La Bombonera in his first Superclásico. It was a magical night, a dominant 3-0 victory, 2 goals from Brindisi, and a Maradona who was simply unstoppable. Around the 67th minute, Diego scored the 3rd goal in an extraordinary move, dropping both Filol and Tarantini to the ground before finishing with a piece of skill that would live forever in football history. Another epic moment against River for the number 10 would be at the Monumental Stadium, where he would score a brace, one of those goals being a fantastic free kick goal. Another magical night wearing the Boca shirt came on 28th June 1981 against Independiente. Maradona scored a spectacular goal to secure a 1-1 draw at La Bombonera, once again reminding everyone who ran the show. The 1981 Metropolitano Championship became Maradona's first and only league title in Argentina. He was the key figure, scoring 17 goals in 28 matches. With Silvio Marzolini as manager and Brindisi as his closest partner on the pitch, Diego finally lifted a trophy with the club he supported as a boy. It was a hard-fought title, decided on the final match day, with Ferrocarril Oeste pushing Boca all the way. On that final day, Boca drew 1-1 with Racing, with Maradona scoring from the penalty spot to seal the championship celebrations. In total, Maradona played 40 matches for Boca Juniors, scored 28 goals and provided 16 assists before making the leap to Europe, signing for FC Barcelona and taking his story onto an even bigger stage. On the 4th of June 1982, Maradona's move to Barcelona became official for a record fee close to $8 million. Expectations were sky high, but his time in Spain was far from easy. Diego suffered a serious ankle fracture and also contracted hepatitis, setbacks that constantly interrupted his rhythm and momentum. Even so, he left his mark immediately. He scored on his debut against Valencia and dazzled early on, finishing with 11 goals in his first 13 matches. Against Madrid, Maradona always seemed to ignite so much so that one of his goals at the Santiago Bernabeu earned applause from the home crowd. His legacy at Barcelona included 2 trophies, the Copa del Rey and the Copa de la Liga. In total, he played 58 matches for the Catalans and scored 38 goals, numbers that reflected his quality despite all the interruptions. But his darker side also left a mark at Barca, most notably at the Santiago Bernabeu in the Copa del Rey final against Athletic Club. That final was already surrounded by tension and fears of violence before kickoff. Athletic won the match 1-0, denying Barcelona the trophy and leaving them with only the Copa de la Liga that season. When the final whistle was blown by referee Franco Martinez, he rushed straight to the tunnel. Witnesses claim that verbal exchanges immediately broke out between Maradona and Athletic's Chato Núñez, including rude gestures. What followed was chaos. Maradona headbutted Núñez, then turned on Miguel Sola, an Athletic substitute who ran onto the pitch from the tunnel to join the confrontation. The scene became one of the most infamous moments of Diego's career in Spain, symbolising both his passion and the volatility that would ultimately define his exit from Barcelona. After the frustration of missing out on the 1978 World Cup, Spain '82 was supposed to be Diego's stage. He did deliver moments, scoring a brace against Hungary, but the tournament as a whole fell well short of expectations. Argentina failed to defend their title and were eliminated in the second round after a 3-1 defeat to Brazil. That match ended with an image that summed up the World Cup for Maradona. Overwhelmed by impotence, he launched a reckless challenge and was rightly sent off. And so Diego prepared for one of the greatest adventures of his life. After leaving Barcelona, his next stop was Napoli. In the summer of 1984, Maradona arrived in Napoli's and was welcomed by a crowd that filled the Stadio San Paolo. In a matter of months, he would become an absolute idol and go on to create the greatest memories in the club's history, a place where he would eventually be treated like a god. He took Napoli, a poor club from the south of Italy, and turned them into champions capable of beating the rich giants of the north, Juventus, Milan and Inter. Maradona became more than a footballer. He was a symbol of resistance, pride and identity for Naples and the entire south, in a country divided by deep economic and social tensions. But before the titles with Napoli arrived, destiny had another date marked in red, the 1986 World Cup in Mexico. Mexico '86 was Maradona at his absolute peak. From the first match to the last, he proved he was the best player on the planet. He scored 2 spectacular goals against Belgium. But the defining moments of the tournament came in the quarter-final against England. First, the infamous hand of God. Then, just minutes later, the greatest goal in World Cup history. Diego dribbling past 5 English players, rounding the goalkeeper, and finishing a goal that turned him into Dios. With a team few truly believed in, led by Carlos Salvador Bilardo, Argentina won their second World Cup, and there is no debate, Maradona was the decisive factor. He did not score in the final, but he delivered a perfect assist to Jorge Burruchaga for the winning goal against Germany. The boy's dream was complete. He was world champion, standing on top of the footballing world. To this day, Mexico '86 is considered the greatest individual performance in World Cup history. Maradona was directly involved in 10 of Argentina's 14 goals and created 27 clear chances for his teammates. And with that, Diego returned to Italy, ready to conquer everything. Maradona's arrival in Napoli's had already changed the city, without any doubt. And little by little, the team dared to compete with the very best. After winning the World Cup, Diego confirmed his legendary status by turning success into trophies with Napoli. The Coppa Italia arrived in the 1986-1987 season.
Muro si presenta davanti a Piotti e lo infila con un...
Followed by the historic Scudetto of 1987.
Mundial de Italia. Lo pierde Giordano y después pase de Bagni al pecho de Diego, que como ante Bélgica dibuja y convierte.
Then on 29th April 1990, Napoli beat Lazio 1-0 to win the second Scudetto in their history, once again led by Maradona. Along the way came the UEFA Cup in 1988-1989, the club's first ever international trophy, and the Italian Super Cup in 1990. Maradona left countless magical nights in Napoli's. The 1986-87 Scudetto season included the famous 5-0 win over Verona, crowned by a stunning Maradona goal. During the second title run in 1989-1990, he produced iconic performances against Milan in a 3-0 win, scoring once and providing 2 assists, and against Juventus in a 3-1 victory with 2 goals. He was also decisive in the 1989 UEFA Cup triumph, especially in the 3-0 comeback against Juventus, where he scored a penalty and delivered key assists, and later in the final against Stuttgart with goals and assists that sealed Napoli's greatest European night. In 1990, Maradona returned to the World Cup stage once more. Italy 90 was a tournament full of obstacles. Injuries limited him physically, but his competitive spirit remained intact. Despite everything, Argentina, guided by their captain, eliminated Brazil in the round of 16 with a crucial assist from Diego. That campaign, however, was later stained by controversy, including the infamous Branco bottle incident.
Lo de Branco, ¿viste? Lo de Branco fue...
¿Cómo fue lo de Branco, boludo? No. Después pasó el tiempo, me venía a contar que... Vos lo veías, no, pero lo contás desde... ¿Vos lo veías cabecear en la barrera o no?
Y si me decía a mí, boludo, me decía Diego, vos tenés la culpa, Ya, Branquito.
¿Qué le decía?
Branquito. Claro.
El Vasco dice, no tome de esa.
Pero claro, ¿viste? Este sabe, este botón.
No, yo no sé, pero...
¿Sabés qué? Claro, estaban todas las dos y tomó Branco y venía a tomar Baldo, venía a tomar todo lo bueno, ¿viste? Y yo decía, que tomen.
Argentina then knocked out the hosts and favourites, Italy, in the semi-finals, before losing the final to Germany after a highly controversial penalty decision. Even in defeat, the epic journey gave the runner-up finish a special weight. After returning from the World Cup, Maradona's Napoli chapter moved towards its end, still surrounded by controversy, but also brilliance, flicks, back heel assists, legendary dribbles, and acrobatic assists. In total, he played 259 matches for Napoli and scored 115 goals. In 1991, following a doping suspension, Diego left the club, but not before leaving an eternal mark, changing Napoli's history forever.
Maradona no quiere engañar a sus muchos seguidores y, fiel a los mismos, ha señalado que no se hagan ilusiones con su vuelta al campo profesional una vez que cumpla la sanción que le impuso la Federación Italiana por consumo de cocaína y castigo, que finaliza en julio del año próximo. Por otro lado, Maradona está procesado por la justicia argentina por el mismo motivo y se encuentra en libertad vigilada. Sobre esta doble situación, el jugador del Nápoles ha reconocido por primera vez que su condena se...
After his doping suspension, and once again under the guidance of Carlos Salvador Bilardo, Maradona arrived at Sevilla for a new chapter in Spanish football. In total, he played 29 matches and scored 6 goals, but his level was far from what he had shown in Naples. Sevilla finished 7th in La Liga that season, and after a tense relationship with Bilardo and the club's board, Diego chose to return to Argentina.
Dirige hacia Carlos Salvador Bilardo.
Newell's old boys were waiting. There was talk of a return to Argentinos Juniors, even advanced negotiations with San Lorenzo. But in the end, Newell's from Rosario secured the dream signing. Maradona made his debut on the 10th of October 1993 in a 3-1 defeat against Independiente. His final appearance came in a friendly against Vasco da Gama in January. His time in Rosario was brief, just 5 official matches without scoring a single goal. In the United States 1994, Maradona played his 4th World Cup. With a strong squad led by Alfio Coco Basile, Argentina were among the favourites and started by winning their first 2 matches. Against Greece in the opener, Diego scored a stunning goal, the last he would ever score at a World Cup. But after the win over Nigeria, another doping test came back positive. Maradona was suspended once again. In one of the most painful moments of his career, he delivered a phrase that became immortal.
Y me duele mucho
In 1995, he finally returned to Boca Juniors. This time, he could not replicate the glory of the 1981 Metropolitano title. His comeback was marked by a friendly against South Korea in Seoul, which Boca won 2-1. He spent 2 years at the club, first under Silvio Marsolini, then Carlos Salvador Bilardo, and finally Hector Bambino Vieira. He shared the pitch with close friends, including Claudio Paul Caniggia. His farewell came in the most symbolic way possible, against River Plate, in a 2-1 Boca victory at El Monumental. Maradona was substituted at half-time by a young Juan Roman Riquelme. The match was played on 25th October 1997. By then, rumours were constant. Repeated doping suspicions and physical problems took their toll.
Perdóname que insista, porque más de una vez dijiste, me voy, ¿por qué tanta calentura? ¿Esto es definitivo?
Sí, definitivo, por mí sí. Y no quiero hablar más del tema.
Just days before turning 37, Diego Armando Maradona announced his definitive retirement from football, the end of an era and the closing chapter of one of the most extraordinary careers the game has ever seen. As the legendary journalist Cherki Bialo once said, Maradona was many personalities in one.
¿Maradona? ¿Cuál? ¿Usted cree, Marcelo, que hay un Maradona? Yo creo que hay muchos. Hay por lo menos 8 o 9 Maradonas. Hay un Maradona que jugó al fútbol, hay un Maradona que alcanzó la celebridad, hay un Maradona hijo que murió cuando murieron sus padres, hay un Maradona padre que se reinventa cada día, hay un Maradona amigo que va recambiando amistad, hay un Maradona afectivo y hay un Maradona sublime, hay un Maradona abyecto y hay un Maradona fenomenal, hay un Maradona de frases inolvidables y hay un Maradona cuyas frases es mejor no recordar. Es la suma de todo eso en un solo hombre, un genio, una maravilla.
He went from earth to heaven and then straight to hell. There has never been a footballer more emotional, more visceral, or more deeply connected to the hearts of people. Diego was pure passion, pure rebellion, and pure genius on the pitch. As we've seen, Maradona built an outstanding trophy cabinet, World Cup winner with Argentina in Mexico, 1986, U20, World Cup champion in 1979, the 1981 Metropolitano with Boca Juniors, the Copa del Rey, Copa de la Liga, and Spanish Super Cup with Barcelona, and with Napoli, 2 Serie A titles, a Coppa Italia, a Supercoppa Italiana, and the UEFA Cup. But we also saw him fall into addiction, even without being able to vocalise and speak properly. Across his career, Diego Maradona played 724 official matches and scored 358 goals from his debut with Argentinos Juniors on the 20th of October 1976 to his final match with Boca Juniors on the 25th of October 1997 after a Super Classico against River Plate. And as Ray Hudson famously said, Maradona is not about statistics, he was something deeper, something moral, something emotional. In that sense, in the impact he had on people's souls, many will say Diego stands above Messi. But on the pitch, in terms of legacy, consistency, and career greatness, the story is very different. Because when you look closely at what Lionel Messi has done, it becomes impossible to deny it. There has never been a better football career than Messi. And not even Diego, with everything he was and everything he represented, can truly be compared to that.
Hay que ponerle una corona como la que tiene Pelé o Maradona. Es que es Maradona todos los días.
Y como reflexión final, Jorge Valdano considera que la Liga ya no es cosa de dos.
El Atlético de Madrid definitivamente merece ser tomado en serio.
Even people who have never watched football know the name Lionel Messi. Lionel Andres Messi was born on 24th June 1987 in Rosario, one of Argentina's most important cities. He grew up in a working-class family. His father worked in a steel factory, while his mother worked part-time as a cleaner and took care of the home. Messi did not grow up in poverty, but his childhood was modest, simple, and far from luxury. He was one of 4 children. He had 2 older brothers, Rodrigo and Matias, and a younger sister, Maria Sol. Football was part of the family's daily life, and even his cousins, Emmanuel and Maximiliano Biancucci, would later follow the same path into the game. Messi started playing football almost as soon as he could walk. By the age of 4, he was already chasing a ball around his neighbourhood. One of the most important figures in his early life was his grandmother, Celia Cuccittini.
Pensando, esa cabecita que tenés es un misterio. Oíme bien, vos vas a ser el mejor jugador del mundo. ¿Entramos?
She believed in his talent more than anyone else and took him to his first training sessions at the local club, Grandoli, where his older brothers played. After her death, Messi would always point to the sky when he scored, dedicating his goals to her. After 2 years at Grandoli, Messi joined the youth teams of Newell's Old Boys. He stayed there for 6 years, from 1995 to 2001, and quickly became well known. He scored goals for fun, stood out far above other kids his age, and even scored 4 goals on his debut. Everything pointed towards a bright future. Then came the first major setback of his life. Doctors diagnosed him with a growth hormone deficiency, a rare condition that stopped his body from developing normally.
Cuando tenía 11 años se me descubrió un problema de hormona de crecimiento y tuve que empezar a hacer un tratamiento para poder crecer con normalidad. Me sentía que me tenía que poner todas las noches una inyección en las piernas. Ponía una noche en una, otra noche en otra. Durante todos los días de la semana no descansaba ningún día y bueno, eso tuve que hacerlo durante 3 años seguidos.
Without an expensive medical treatment, Messi might never grow enough to become a professional footballer. At the same time, Argentina was going through a serious economic crisis, and his family simply could not afford the full treatment. Everything changed when Barcelona stepped in. At just 13 years old, Messi was given the medical support he needed and the chance to continue chasing his dream. That moment did not just save his career, it marked the beginning of one of the greatest stories football has ever seen. The true professional journey of Lionel Messi began in Spain. On 17 September 2000, Messi took part in a trial with Barcelona. It then took 3 long months, until 14 December 2000, for the club to finalise an agreement with him. The story has since become legendary. The preliminary deal was written on a simple paper napkin inside a cafe.
La oficina estaba cerrada porque era a las 7 o 8 de la tarde y entonces pues mira, le echamos, mira, cogemos una servilleta tú y lo hacemos aquí.
That same napkin would later be sold at auction in 2024 for more than $900,000, a symbol of how history sometimes begins in the most unexpected ways. At La Masia, Barcelona's famous academy, Messi shone immediately. He scored 4 goals in his very first match, leaving coaches and teammates stunned. During the 2002 to 2003 season, he finished as the top scorer with 36 goals in just 30 matches.
Presión grande empezar el torneo con los compañeros, todo, y luego cuando volví a jugar ya de nuevo, pero
The excitement around Messi grew so fast that even while he was still in the academy, youth team matches began attracting attention similar to some of the biggest television programs in Spain. People knew something special was happening. On the 16th of November 2003, Messi was called up to the first team for a friendly match against Porto. He came on as a substitute in the 72nd minute at just 16 years, 4 months and 23 days old. Less than a year later, on 16 October 2004, he made his La Liga debut in a derby against Espanyol, a 1-0 win for Barcelona. He did not score that day, but it marked the beginning of an extraordinary career. Messi scored his first La Liga goal on 1st of May 2005 in a 2-0 victory against Albacete. At 17 years, 10 months and 7 days old, he became the youngest player to score in the history of Barcelona and La Liga at that time. It was the first clear sign that football was witnessing the rise of a once-in-a-generation talent. Everything that followed was full of records and historic moments. Across 17 seasons at FC Barcelona, Lionel Messi became the club's all-time top scorer with 672 goals in 778 matches. He won 10 La Liga titles, 7 Copa del Rey trophies, and 4 Champions League crowns. From the very moment of his debut, Messi did not just play for Barcelona, he built the greatest individual story the club has ever known. If anyone still needed final proof that Messi was truly special, it came in the Clásico near the end of the 2006-2007 season, with Barcelona and Real Madrid fighting for the league title. Madrid took the lead 3 different times at Camp Nou.
Good delivery, and it's gone in! 3-2!
And Messi dragged Barca back into the match on all 3 occasions, completing a stunning hat-trick.
It's the area, Messi! There's still penalties! Go!
While Barcelona were down to 10 men, that 3rd goal sealed his treble, the first Clásico hat-trick in 12 years, and announced Messi to the world. That same year, Diego Maradona said words that would echo through football history. "I have seen the player who will inherit my place in Argentine football, and his name is Messi. Messi is a genius." It sounded like prophecy, and Messi would go on to fulfill it in his own way. Like Maradona before him, Messi was never afraid of controversy. He scored a cheeky, debated goal with his fist against Espanyol, a moment that shocked rivals and delighted teammates. But his most unforgettable Maradona-style moment came soon after, when Messi picked up the ball deep in his own half. What followed felt like déjà vu. A dazzling run, nutmegs along the way, defenders left behind, and a calm right foot finish past the goalkeeper. The comparisons with El Diego were impossible to avoid, and as in every great origin story, there comes a moment when the hero is truly called to action. Barcelona were entering a period of transition, letting go of aging stars and searching for a new identity.
Si supiera que Eto'o y Ronaldinho hicieran 60 goles este año estarían con nosotros, no tengas una duda. Planificamos la plantilla sin ellos. Si luego por seguridad se quedan, daré la vida para que ellos estén al nivel que todos hemos visto.
There was a vision that only one man fully believed in, a project built around Messi. That man was Pep Guardiola. Pep wanted to create a Barcelona that played for Messi, and through Messi. The number 10 is iconic in football. Lionel Messi inherited the famous shirt from Ronaldinho after the Brazilian left Barcelona to join AC Milan. That was the moment Messi truly understood the weight of responsibility he was taking on. Leo embraced it. From then on, he became the greatest player Barcelona had ever seen, always stepping up when it mattered most. Ironically, one of the defining moments came in the 2009 Champions League final, the so-called final of the GOATs, where Messi faced Cristiano Ronaldo. Xavi Hernandez spotted Messi drifting towards Rio Ferdinand. Messi rose into the air and with a powerful header beat Edwin van der Sar, sealing Barcelona's historic treble. After that magical moment, Pep Guardiola summed up perfectly how Messi should be understood at that time. Don't write about him. Don't try to describe him. Just watch him. The year 2009 was the greatest in Barcelona's history, and arguably the greatest year any club has ever had. Guardiola's squad won 6 trophies, something no team had achieved before. The FIFA Club World Cup, played in the United Arab Emirates in December, was the final piece, decided by an unusual Messi goal in extra time, finishing a cross from Dani Alves. Then came the famous 5-0 Manita against Real Madrid on the 29th of November 2010. It was the ultimate display of Guardiola's Barcelona dominating José Mourinho's Madrid.
El partido más difícil de tu vida.
El 5-0 de
allí, del
Nou Camp. Sí. Joder, no veíamos balón y que.
Messi didn't score that night, but he did almost everything else, including receiving a furious kick from Sergio Ramos, which sparked a mass confrontation. It was a symbol of how toxic and intense that rivalry had become. In that moment, Mourinho understood something very clearly.
That god of football made it completely different, and of course they have a good team, of course they have phenomenal players, but that player is absolutely incredible.
Messi would go on to become an absolute force in the Champions League, lifting 4 European Cups with Barcelona. But his dominance truly exploded in the 2011 quarter-final, second leg, against Arsenal. You might not remember the full 5-0 scoreline, but you definitely remember that celebration. Messi opened the scoring from the penalty spot. The first goal of a hat-trick completed in just over half an hour, a performance that felt almost unfair. Then came 28th May 2011. For the second time in 3 years under Pep Guardiola, Barcelona defeated Manchester United in a Champions League final. 10 minutes into the second half, at Wembley Stadium, Messi drifted into space and unleashed a perfect strike from 25 yards into the bottom corner. From that moment on, the final was over. Barcelona never looked back. Records kept falling. On 7th March 2012, Messi became the first player in Champions League history to score 5 goals in a single match, as Barcelona demolished Bayer Leverkusen 7-1. It was no longer surprising, it felt inevitable. His scoring rate became so absurd that, at just 24 years old, Messi surpassed Cesar Rodriguez to become Barcelona's all-time top scorer, breaking a record that had stood since the 1950s. That same calendar year, he finished with 91 goals, 79 for Barcelona, 59 in La Liga, 13 in the Champions League, 5 in the Copa del Rey, and 2 in the Supercopa, and 12 for Argentina, a number that still feels unreal. Messi's magic moments kept getting more iconic. One of the most famous saw him turn Jerome Boateng, one of the world's best centre-backs at the time, into a meme, sending him to the ground before delicately chipping the ball past a helpless Manuel Neuer. That season ended with Barcelona winning the Champions League, once again the legendary MSN Champions League. The MSN trio, Neymar, Luis Suarez, and Lionel Messi, became the greatest attacking trident football has ever seen. When they played together, they won 84 of 110 matches, a 76% success rate. In 8,896 minutes on the pitch, MSN produced 228 goals, one every 39 minutes, and 124 assists between them, one every 72 minutes. Numbers that belong in football mythology. Messi completed that season's treble with another masterpiece in the Copa del Rey final. His opening goal in the 20th minute was pure art, picking up the ball on the right side of Athletic's half, teasing 3 defenders, cutting inside and firing a low shot into the near post. It was Messi, in his purest form, unstoppable, inevitable, eternal. The achievements just kept falling in Barcelona. Messi's 500th goal for the club could not have come at a better moment. A 92nd minute winner to seal a 3-2 victory over Real Madrid in El Clasico. That goal gave us one of the most iconic celebrations in football history. Messi took off his shirt and held it up in front of the Bernabeu crowd, showing his name and number, as if saying, "I'm here." Then came one of the greatest comebacks the Champions League has ever seen. Barcelona completed a stunning turnaround against Paris Saint-Germain. Neymar was the star of the night, scoring twice in the final 3 minutes and delivering the decisive cross for the winning goal. But beyond Neymar's heroics, Messi was also crucial in making the miracle possible. After losing 4-0 in Paris, Barcelona won 6-1 at the Camp Nou, completing a 6-5 aggregate comeback to reach the quarter-finals. Another historic milestone followed soon after. Pass from Pedri, strike from Messi, goal. That moment, against Real Valladolid on the 22nd of December 2020, pushed Messi past the legendary Pelé as the all-time top scorer for a single club, reaching 644 goals with Barcelona. Since La Pulga made his debut for Barcelona in 2004, Messi and his teammates won an extraordinary list of trophies: 10 La Liga titles, 7 Copa del Rey trophies, 8 Spanish Super Cups, 4 Champions League titles, 3 UEFA Super Cups, and 3 FIFA Club World Cups. On top of that, Messi collected 6 Ballon d'Or awards, an all-time record at the time. In total, 36 trophies in 17 seasons, a level of dominance that may never be repeated. In August 2021, Lionel Messi signed for Paris Saint-Germain, closing a 20-year chapter at Barcelona and opening one of the most unexpected moves in football history. His first season in Paris was mainly about adaptation. After 2 decades in the same club, Messi had to adjust to a new tactical setup and a different rhythm of play. More vertical runs, a new balance of roles alongside Neymar and Kylian Mbappe, plus occasional stops due to minor injuries and a very late pre-season. That season brought some frustrations, fewer goals than people expected, but also clear positives. Messi played a key role in build-up play and ball progression between the lines. He scored his first PSG goal in the Champions League against Manchester City and quickly developed a strong on-pitch connection with Mbappe, often finding the French forward early with sharp, line-breaking passes. Messi's second season in Paris was far more productive. He finished with 32 goals and 25 assists, delivered a huge number of key passes, scored from the edge of the box and from long range, and constantly made the pre-assist decisions that dismantled defensive blocks. In reality, Messi became the playmaking heart of a front three with Mbappe and Neymar. Dropping deeper to receive the ball, he overloaded the right side and central midfield before releasing perfectly timed passes into Mbappe's runs in behind. On paper, Messi's PSG spell ended with 2 League One titles in 2 seasons, 1 French Super Cup. When you look at these numbers and achievements, the comparison between Messi and Maradona at club level becomes very clear. Many argue that Messi never lifted a struggling club the way Maradona did with Napoli. But Messi's story in Miami tells a different truth. The number 10 arrived just in time to launch a brand new tournament called the Leagues Cup, where MLS and Liga MX clubs faced each other on US soil in a strange, fast format, 3-team groups, straight into the round of 32, all squeezed into a single month. The script for Lionel Messi's debut with Inter Miami could not have been written any better. First match came against Cruz Azul, last-minute free kick. One final touch of genius. Messi bent the ball into the top corner. A perfect beginning, impossible to imagine a better one. What followed felt like a mini World Cup. Just as he had done at Qatar 2022, Messi took control of the tournament. In 7 matches, he scored 10 goals.
Played, Messi driving forward, Messi from distance!
And after a dramatic penalty shootout against Nashville SC, Inter Miami lifted the first Leagues Cup title in history. That season, Inter Miami finished 15th in their conference, missed the playoffs, and sat near the bottom in almost every competitive metric. Yet Messi's level was already clear, with moments like his stunning goal against New York Red Bulls, often considered the goal of the tournament. 2 seasons later, everything had changed. Inter Miami became MLS champions, winning everything they realistically could. In Messi's first full season, Miami lifted the Supporters' Shield as the team with the most points in the league. Messi contributed 23 goals and 13 assists, including unforgettable nights like the match against New York Red Bulls, where he produced 5 assists and 1 goal. A club that once looked finished was suddenly the best team in the league.
Able to play this across, make it.
But the current season was when Messi truly completed his mission, turning the worst team in MLS into champions. He delivered a historic campaign with 43 goals and 26 assists, became the all-time leading assist provider in football history, and led Miami to win the Eastern Conference and the MLS title. And he did it in a way never seen before in American football. Messi scored 2 goals in 5 consecutive matches during the regular season, a first in league history, on his way to becoming top scorer with 29 goals and 16 assists. Then came the playoffs, where the GOAT fully unleashed himself. Goal contributions in every round, 6 goals and 7 assists. Pure domination. So yes, just like Diego Maradona before him, Leo lifted a club that had never won anything and gave them everything there was to win, pouring his magic into every single match. And yet, the greatest chapter of Messi's career was still to come, wearing the beautiful sky blue and white of Argentina. Messi with the Argentina national team is a story of 20 years of pain, but above all, it is a story of transformation, resilience, and unconditional love between a footballer and his country. Messi has played 196 matches for Argentina, scoring 115 goals and providing 64 assists in the famous sky blue and white shirt. Youth World Champion in FIFA Under-20 Datos World Cup, Olympic gold medalist in Beijing Olympics, Copa America winner, and above all World Champion at FIFA World Cup, it is almost impossible to criticise Lionel Messi's career with Argentina. Yet, for many years, his relationship with the national team was anything but sweet. Messi made his senior debut in 2005 in a friendly against Hungary, and was sent off almost immediately. From that moment on, he slowly evolved into the team's central figure. Despite holding dual nationality and achieving global success in Spain, Messi's bond with Argentina never weakened. He was a key part of every national setup from 2005 onwards. At the 2005 Under-20 World Cup, he came on against Egypt and instantly changed Argentina's fate. He scored in a 2-0 win, then shone when the tournament reached boiling point. Against Colombia, Messi exploded. Against Spain in the quarter-finals, he sealed victory with a stunning goal. In the semi-final versus Brazil, he scored again and created another. In the final, 2 penalty goals against Nigeria crowned Argentina champions. The Albiceleste were world champions and Messi was the star. His World Cup debut showed raw talent. Messi stayed on the bench against Ivory Coast but came on against Serbia and Montenegro and instantly left his mark. In just 16 minutes, he scored once and assisted another, and soon after dominated the 2, where Argentina won gold. Messi finished with 2 goals and 2 assists in 5 matches, was named MVP, and at just 21 years old, showed the world he was destined for greatness. Remarkably, after scoring on his World Cup debut, Messi had to wait 8 years for his next World Cup goal. South Africa 2010 was a disaster for Messi and for Diego Maradona, who was the coach at the time. The moment finally arrived in June 2012. Against Brazil in East Rutherford, it may have been a friendly, but for Messi, it meant everything. Against Argentina's greatest rivals, he delivered a devastating hat-trick, destroying Brazil and silencing every doubt. Still, a country as emotional as Argentina, with Maradona's shadow looming, demanded more. Messi faced enormous pressure at Brazil 2014. Though the campaign ended in heartbreak, Messi was brilliant. He scored the decisive goal against Bosnia, broke Iranian hearts with a last-minute winner, then scored twice against Nigeria, including a stunning free kick. Almost single-handedly, he dragged a limited Argentina side through the group stage and into the knockouts, eventually reaching their first World Cup final in 24 years. Argentina lost the final 1-0 to Germany.
Still full of running, and
but Messi was awarded the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player. Then came the darkest moment of his career.
Argentina in front.
After 3 consecutive final defeats, Messi was shattered. Following the penalty shootout loss to Chile in the 2016 Copa America, he announced his retirement from international football.
Pensaba en el vestuario que ya está, se terminó para mí la selección. Ya, como dije recién, son 4 finales, no es para mí. Lamentablemente lo busqué, era lo que más deseaba. No se me dio, pero creo que ya está.
Argentina begged him to return.
No te vayas, no te tenés que ir. Llegamos a la final por vos, por Higuaín, por el Kun, por toda la selección. No te vayas, si te vas, nos vamos a quedar sin final, no vamos a poder llegar de vuelta.
Even then, President Mauricio Macri called Messi a gift from God. Leo came back just in time. Argentina were on the brink of missing Russia 2018. In the decisive qualifier against Ecuador in Quito, Argentina conceded early. Once again, Messi carried them. Ignoring pressure, altitude and fear, he scored a sensational hat-trick, almost single-handedly sending Argentina to the World Cup.
Para sentenciar, para soñar, para meterse en el Mundial, Messi!
The pain was not over yet, but the transformation was complete. After that came the victory that changed everything. Argentina won the Copa America led by Lionel Messi, and his impact was so decisive that he finished the tournament with both the Golden Ball and the Golden Boot, being directly involved in 9 of Argentina's 12 goals.
Messi!
Scoring 5 himself.
Messi, píquela!
The triumph was historic, sealed at the Maracanã Stadium against Brazil national team.
No existe la casualidad, muchachos. ¿Saben qué? Esta copa se tenía que jugar en Argentina. Y Dios la trajo acá. Dios la trajo acá para que la levantemos en el Maracaná, muchachos. Para que sea más lindo para todos. Así que salgamos confiados y tranquilos que esta la vamos a llevar para casa.
Finally breaking the curse and lifting a major title with the senior national team.
¡Se va a terminar!
But 1 year later, Messi would make history in an even greater way. Argentina's road to glory at the FIFA World Cup was anything but simple. The opening match against Saudi Arabia was a brutal shock, a 2-1 defeat that rocked the squad and put the entire dream in doubt. From that moment on, every single match felt like a final. The response came against Mexico in a tense Group C clash. With Messi leading the way, Argentina won 2-0 and took back control of their destiny. In the round of 16, class made the difference. Messi and Julian Alvarez were decisive in a 2-1 win over Australia. Opening the door to the most intense stage of the tournament. The quarter-final against the Netherlands, remembered forever as the Battle of Lusail, delivered pure drama, a genius assist from Messi to Nahuel Molina, a captain's goal, and a late Dutch comeback led by Wout Weghorst that forced penalties. From the spot, Argentina held their nerve and went through.
Al frente, señal del juez, viene Messi, corta distancia, pierna zurda, le pegó.
The semi-final against Croatia national team and Luka Modric was a total exhibition. Argentina won 3-0, with Messi producing another masterclass goal and an assist, while Julian Alvarez added a decisive brace, fully established as the captain's perfect partner. The final against France national team completed an unforgettable story. While the dramatic ending is etched into football history, what truly remains is the image of Messi lifting the trophy that had eluded him for so long, and an Argentina rediscovering its winning identity. And in 2024, Messi completed yet another chapter, lifting his first domestic treble with Argentina by defeating Colombia in the Copa America final, decided by a Lautaro Martinez goal. That match also left one of the most painful images in modern football: Messi in tears. Forced off by injury, a reminder that even legends pay a price for greatness. After seeing these two astonishing careers side by side, it becomes clear that their legacies are completely different. Diego Maradona finished his club career with 680 matches and 345 goals. Lionel Messi, on the other hand, has played 963 club matches and scored 787 goals. Maradona never had a 30-goal season at club level. His best campaign produced 23 goals, while Messi has recorded 8 different seasons with 50 goals, and even reached an incredible 80-goal year combining club and national team football. When it comes to assists, there is no debate at all. Messi is the all-time leading assist provider in football history, and the only player ever to register 25 goals and 25 chances created in the same season, doing it on 7 different occasions. Technically, they share similarities, but with key differences. Maradona was more explosive, in short bursts, pure fire and rebellion in motion. Messi, meanwhile, carries the ball with a ballet-like elegance, combining extreme agility with such close control that taking the ball off him feels almost impossible. With the Argentina national team, Messi delivered more in terms of titles and sustained performances. He won 2 Copa America titles and a World Cup. The 1986 World Cup remains socially untouchable for what it meant to Argentina and to football itself. But when we look purely at the numbers, the comparison tightens. In 1986, Maradona was directly involved in 10 of Argentina's 14 goals and created 27 big chances for teammates. In 2022, Messi was directly involved in 10 of Argentina's 15 goals and created 21 big chances for others. And that leads us to the decisive factor: consistency. Messi dominated every era he played in the Xavi and Iniesta era, the MSN era, the years where he carried Barcelona almost alone, the redemption era with Argentina, and now the Inter Miami era. Maradona will always be Maradona, one of the greatest players in history. But as Jorge Valdano once said, Maradona was Maradona in the 1986 World Cup, and in very specific moments, Messi is Maradona every single day.